Good morning, students. It is Sunday, the 28th of September. And tomorrow is my daughter's birthday, so we're going to be going out to celebrate this afternoon. I hope that you've had a chance to look over the last two assignments for the course. Now, I want to thank Carla and Karina for pointing out that the conflict case study can be done in pairs. So like Gwen and Dave Booth, maybe since you're at the same school, and Janice and Kelsey at the same school. If you are in the same district or school, I think that would be a very good idea to team up. So you could do the conflict case study as a team if you have, a common conflict that you know about. So in that paper, one of the things that I really urge you to do is do an outline for the conflict case study. And, in there should be a timeline. There should have, what the initial conflict was. And please don't use teachers' names. Use pseudonyms instead. Teacher A, Teacher B, school, XYZ. And kind of get used to that, writing like that. And definitely, you should be writing in the third person. You're going to hear maybe some difference of opinions, but whenever you write in the first person, my, I, me, it kind of takes away from what we hope to focus on in scholarly writing. So the author, the educator, the teacher, the practitioner, the teacher researcher, all of those are acceptable terms for using the third person instead of the first person pronouns. And that brings up another interesting point. Try not to sprinkle papers with a lot of pronouns, because what happens is when someone's reading your paper, they're looking for the antecedent. What comes before? What were you referring to? And that makes you stop and go back and look and say, well, what was it? Who are they? And it kind of takes away not only from the scholarly writing, but from the focus on your paper. So be sure, and if you have a pronoun, refer directly to it with a noun. Okay? And then I know the collaborative action groups are going really well. They've started to meet, I believe, well, maybe it's this Tuesday in my Google Hangout. So if you want me to set up a Google Hangout for you, please let me know so that you can meet face-to-face, which is a nice feature. And it's a little bit different forum from the Adobe Connect. Now, our last face-to-face meeting is on the 8th. So on that day, we are going to be using GoToMeeting, and I'm going to give you all of the information so that you can log on to that. You'll have to have a password. And then we'll have one group presenters, and what we're going to do is we're going to kind of push the time frame a little bit because I want to make sure everybody presents. So we're going to go 6:15 to 7:30, and then we're going to go 7:30 to 8:45. Okay, so adding about 15 minutes. I think that's just what we needed in our last meeting, so we're going to do that. And you're going to be presenting your reform action that you have decided upon. And a reform action could be simply looking at the school with critical needs assessment, implementing PLCs for reform, working to put people into teams. I mean, it doesn't have to be the PLC model. I remember as a middle school principal that the interdisciplinary team was one of the most successful parts of our middle school reform, because teachers were talking about the same group of students. They had the common planning time. They were focusing on common assessments, and they were doing an integrated multidisciplinary approach. oh, that was the most successful reform I've been involved in. And it was very exciting to see teachers working together for the common good of the students that they shared. So I would encourage you to look at a variety of reforms that are available. I know that one of the reforms is the response to intervention, and that's one that the state has adopted for low-performing schools. Now, response to intervention is a good model. I'm not saying it isn't. It's focused. But the problem has been in the past where, while it's focused, there's no follow-through in reinforcing the good teaching pedagogy. And so that one is one that needs to go through, I believe, a major revamp so that it's more effective for teachers and for students. But response to intervention is also another model. We have, another one that I think might be really effective in some of your settings, as I've learned more about your schools, is small learning communities. Now, you take a large comprehensive high school and you break it into smaller learning communities, and it is absolutely incredible. I've seen that happen in Long Beach, particularly at Lakewood High School. And each small learning community has a special emphasis that they're focused on. So I really encourage you to look at small learning communities, to look at PLCs, to look at response to intervention, other, just a multidisciplinary team approach. Whatever will you find that's available in the literature, because what we need to do is we need to close the achievement gap. If you've read Ruby Payne, the most exciting thing was going to hear Ruby Payne. But if we can close that achievement gap that exists between the lower socioeconomic groups in our school and the higher socioeconomic groups in our school, we will have done an amazing thing in the 21st century. Because not just the learning gap, but the thing that's happened is that this has gone on since Thomas Jefferson's time in 1700s, late 1700s, to today. And I keep saying to myself, okay, schools, when are we going to improve? Well, it has to be now, because we have been given a new charge. And the new charge is to look at schools through the Common Core standards. And what an incredible way to do this. And it requires different teaching pedagogy. And, we may have the content perfectly in our mind, but the teaching pedagogy is another thing. So we have to change the way in which we deliver that content to students. We have to engage them in powerful, powerful learning experiences. And we have to hold them accountable to the highest standard possible. So with that, my little bandwagon this morning on a Sunday, I want to say, have a wonderful week. I think the Grade Center is almost up to date. I've noticed a couple of grades are still inaccurate because I deleted columns. There were redundant columns for the grades. So should be somewhere around 135. I've given extra credit points. So hope you have a wonderful week. God bless you.